Hello and good Tuesday evening. Happy Halloween for those of you that are viewing and those of you that have come to chat. I came on special tonight in replacing my normal Tuesday true crime and legal updates with just a tale of Halloween crimes. Now, I ran a poll and most of you wanted to hear about two particular ones, both involving candy. You all have quite a sweet tooth, I can imagine. Well, one was the candy man, and the other one was the candy lover. But I have more than that, and it's going to be quite simple tonight. I'm just going to tell you the stories, and we can talk about them. No visuals, no big dramatic videos, nothing like that. But in true old fashioned storytelling style, just gonna read it to you and tell you about it. So, for all of you coming in, I am very happy that you're here and I hope you enjoy it. But the first I want to start is the most controversial from the list that I put out, and that would be the Candyman. Now, some of you may be familiar with the movie, The Candyman, which was pretty scary, I have to admit. It was definitely scary. But that is not who gets the designation of the Candy Man Killer. Nope, the Candyman Killer was a totally different case. And in the movie, it doesn't get addressed at all. Although I will tell you about another story that does relate to the Candyman movie that is a true crime and is kind of inferred in the movie. But let's start with the Candyman. Now, the Candyman, it seems like such a sweet thing, huh? But the in real life Candyman was a father of an 8-year-old boy, the victim, Timothy O'Brien. Came from Houston, Texas, and back in 1974, little 8-year-old Timothy Bryan was poisoned by his own candy. Well, they were trick or treating, he and his 5-year-old sister, and some neighborhood boy, and Ronald O'Brien, the actual Candyman killer, gave his son Timothy and his sister and neighbor's son a pixie stick, paper straws containing tangy flavored sugar. Y'all remember those from long ago? You know, my brothers would even eat the paper because the sugar stuck to it and it was tasty. Yeah. But in this case, Ronald O'Brien doctored the paper straws, filling the top 2 inches with cyanide. When the kids came home from trick or treating, traditionally, Timothy O'Brien's father would have them put the candy aside and not let them have any until the next day. But before bed, he allowed them each to pick something. So Timothy was allowed to eat one of the goodies from his goodies bag, and he just happened to collect that pixie stick and take it for his treat. And his father, Ronald O'Brien, the Candyman killer, watched while he poured the poison into his mouth. And then he even gave him some Kool-Aid to wash out the bitter taste because Timothy noticed it was a little odd. The motive for this crime was greed. Life insurance policies he'd purchased for each of his children. Unfortunately, Timothy was the only one who ate the poison candy, and in fact, the only child known to have been harmed by the poison candy. In spite of all of the annual rumors and panic that go on about the Candyman killer, you've all heard them, right? About the tainted candy and the Candyman killer wanting to kill all of the children on Halloween. It was really only selected to his family and just happened to include a neighbor's son. But his daughter, the 5-year-old sister of Timothy, and the neighbor's son never got to eat the candy because when Timothy died so suddenly, it did get investigated, and within a day, it was found out that it was poison, and therefore anyone who was with the children who gathered candy, since they didn't know where it was from, destroyed the candy, turned it into the police to be tested, which is how they found the poison candy in the sister's loot in the neighbor's son, and how they also understood that it would only be them and it wasn't spread throughout everyone. But you can imagine that it caused such panic. But that's the true story of the Candyman killer. And he went to jail. And I'll show you his picture. And oh my goodness, Shell, thank you so much. 10 gifted memberships. Let me come back and look at everyone who got these here. Congratulations to everyone who got a membership from Shill's generosity in supporting my channel. My goodness, thank you so much, Shill. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. But but Rocket Couch and Karen and Anna, Ashley Childers, welcome. Welcome, welcome to membership. Peter Collins, again, Christola, uh, Maye, Piace, our friend the Waffle, welcome. Student, and Tony Regime. Thank you so much, Shill, for all the gifted memberships, and also, Shill, for your continued support and for modding. I actually really, really appreciate this so much. I don't even have words. You blow me away. You do. As do all my mods who come and give their time, volunteer their time to help me out. I appreciate you. So that was our first story there in regards to the Candyman. Pins. You know what? I don't know. Pins in candy bars. Is this where the rumor started? I don't know, but they always do refer to the Candyman when they talk about poisoned candy. The actual, razors and pins and things, I'm not sure. It could be that it is an expansion on this horrible story. But I think things like that happened well before 1974, which is when this crime occurred. Um, it was what, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 50 years ago, or 49 years ago. My math is off in my head. Well, it's nice to see so many of you here for this. And I want to show you a picture, though, of the actual killer. Hold on one second. Let me pull. I don't have many graphics to show you, but the reason I want to show you what he looks like is because then we're going to go on. Then we're going to go on to the actual movie, The Candyman. It's just. Oh, there he is. Yeah. That that's our actual killer there. That's our actual Ronald O'Brien, murderer of his own son, and could have been his own daughter, both children. Mm. Yep, he was arrested right in January of that year. Mm. They had enough evidence. He ended up having to give evidence against himself, but it was all for money, greed. Such a horrible way for children to learn a lesson. And that young girl had to grow up knowing what her father tried to do to both of them, and how he killed her brother, poisoned him on such a festive holiday for kids. I often wonder if she ever celebrated Halloween again. Hmm. Well, anyway, enough of Ronald. Let me show you the other gentleman. And you'll remember the movie The Candyman? Yeah. This is the guy who played the Candyman. You remember the famous words he said, "Be my victim. Be my victim." And it was all about finding out about another crime and someone investigating the rumors in regards to the Candyman. It was quite a scary, scary movie, at least for me. I don't know about you guys, but it scared me. Like, I'm not one to watch horror movies on my own. Okay, but that guy did a number on me. Yeah, definitely. Okay, all right. Well, when he says "be my victim," that's the icon of horror. This movie came out in 1992, The Candyman. It was about the vengeful spirit of a black artist who was lynched for having an illicit affair with a white woman. The killer begins terrorizing a student, a graduate student. Okay, and but she's sure that this Candyman thing is a myth. You know. However, the Candyman himself quickly proves to be all too real. And when he's summoned after his name is said into a mirror, he kills his victims with a rusty hook hand. Ugh, gross. Throughout the course of the movie, the student uncovers the true story of Candyman while encountering the most terrifying, realities of poverty, police indifference, and drugs that plagued the lives of black Chicagoans that had been for decades. Besides, since its debut, the Candyman has also been attributed to the real life urban legend character's chilling demeanor, that tragic backstory resonated with plenty of horror fans, leaving a lasting legacy that kept viewers asking, is the Candyman real? Is there anything to this? Well, from a history of racial terror in America, in one Chicago woman's disturbing murder, it's true. The true story of Candyman is even more tragic and frightening. We're going to talk about Ruthie Mae McCoy's murder. It is one part of the true story of Candyman. When they look at Candyman, you think, hey, these things couldn't happen. But there was the tragic murder of Ruthie Mae McCoy, who was a lonely, mentally ill resident of the Abla homes on Chicago's South Side. And on a night in April 1987, the terrified Ruthie called 911 to request help from the police. As she told the dispatcher that someone in the apartment next door was trying to come through her bathroom mirror. They throwed the cabinet down, she said, confusing the dispatcher, who thought she must be crazy. What the dispatcher didn't know that was that McCoy was right. Narrow passages between the apartments allowed maintenance workers easy access, but they also became a popular way for burglars to break in by pushing the bathroom cabinet out of the wall. Although a neighbor reported gunshots coming from the McCoy's apartment, police chose not to break down the door due to the risk of being sued by the residents had they done so. So when a building superintendent finally drilled the lock 2 days later, he discovered Ruthie McCoy's body face down on the floor. She had been shot 4 times. You know, the movie Candyman contains several of these elements inside. First, confirmed victim is Ruthie Jean, a Cabrini Green resident murdered by someone who came through her bathroom mirror. Just like Ruthie McCoy, neighbors, including the coincidentally named Anne Marie McCoy, saw Ruthie Jean as crazy. And like Ruthie McCoy, Ruthie Jean called the police only to die alone without any help. No one is quite sure how the details of this murder actually got into the script of Candyman. No one's ever made reference to it. Um, is it possible that the director learned of the murder or the screenwriter and that after deciding to shoot his movie in Chicago, that perhaps he knew? Maybe somebody told him the story. It's also suggested that John Malkovich had an interest in making a movie about the story and to share the details. Well, either way, the case became part of a true story behind Candyman. And that's another way of what the true story of Candyman has been, just a little bit different than what we all think. So let me go look at the comments before we go to the next one. Hmm. Okay, here we go. I'm going to put the banner up. I saw it. Okay, thank you. You guys are actually quite amusing. I'll ban the banner if she doesn't ban her up and remember the banner. Just, oh, oh, it's okay. You can't tag Liam. Everyone can see. Yes, Mm. I read those apartments were in the projects. Yes, they were, Anna. They were in both Alba and the other ones. Yep, they were. And it was, a true story about the poverty and the disregard of police. And to actually think that they would not break down the door, afraid that for being sued instead of the what could be happening to someone is kind of shocking and very sad to me. The fact that she was telling the truth all along and they thought she was crazy and just disregarded it. It makes the Candyman story even more tragic. Poverty, mental illness, police indifference. You don't get more tragic and scary than that every day. Even worse for Halloween. And although that original murder didn't happen on Halloween, it is tied into the Candyman, which is why I want to bring it up. Hi, Bibbit and Sean, Liam and Fishner. It's so good to see everybody. Jujubee, it's nice to see you. Mousy, Christola, hey, it's good to see you here. I hope you're enjoying the stories. So isn't that kind of like, I find it interesting how these tales go forward, and get twisted into something else. Mm. Fish nerd, you can try to look innocent all you want, but I'm truly a believer that we're all just a little not innocent, all of us. Innocent mostly, but a little bit, every one of us, not so. Ah, Mousy, I remember when they tore down the Cabrini Green in Chicago. It displaced a lot of families, but it was full of gangs. Yes, the Cabrini Green was another one of the projects. Yep. Mm. I have the Halloween spooks. It feels creepy tonight. Really, it is just cold and windy. I agree with you. It is very, very cold and cloudy and windy here, but the moon keeps peeking through. Like it's like challenged in some way to make sure that we see it tonight. But the clouds are moving so fast in the sky if you look up, and it just adds to the creepiness of it all. It's quite cold. I am got quite a chill tonight, actually. And hopefully I don't freak you out too much with my creepy stories. Mrs. Cassandra, hello. I'm so glad you're here. Hi to Christola. I'm just yeah. It's not a full moon, no, Mrs. Cassandra. It is I don't believe it is. No, the full moon was a few days ago, but it's full enough to be bright. I tell you that it's not completely full, but it's trying to peek through these clouds. It's kind of scary. Werewolves? Well, I don't have any stories of werewolves tonight, but it is creepy feeling. It's just cold. Georgia too, huh? Bad cold front. Wow, 23 is pretty cold. It's 40. It's a little 40. Don't panic. The 1st of November is still here. Good news from the future, everyone. Mippet is in the future and she tells us we're going to make it through the night. So that's good news for you, Juju. Like we can chill just a little bit. Like we know it's going to be okay. My neighbors have the spook speaker going. It's cold and creepy. Oh, the spook speaker? Do you mean they play creepy music, Anna? Like for Halloween? No? Hmm. That is notoriously what I called October 31st, discount candy day. Yep. Yeah. You have snow in with oh, you're north. You're much norther than I am, Sean. You got snow a lot? Wow. Oh, and beware of bears going through trash like raccoons. Exactly. Exactly. Just don't expect to make it through the day. Excuse me, Wrecker. Wait a minute. You're in the future too. What are you trying to tell me there? Oh my goodness. Oh, creepy screams on the loudspeaker. Oh, like you know what? I used to love when the neighbors all have. I was one of those houses that contributed to the absolute gaudiness in celebration of Halloween with like skeletons and blood and gore and fake smoke and whatever we could do, flying bats and ghosts and everything. But I never did the loudspeaker thing. I mean, some of my neighbors did. Like someone in the UK just told me that too. She said November has a whole different feel, so that's very exciting. I'm hoping so. I'm hoping so. Admit it, you and Wrecker are conspiring to give me the creeps. Like, stop it. Like, stop. But I'm happy. I'm happy you're both here. In Indiana, we're getting snow flurries, so I didn't get any trick-or-treaters because it was too cold. You know, there was very few here either. Very few here either. I'm wrapped up in bed for warmth, tempted to get the wolfy beast to come help keep it warm. You know what? I'm surprised he's not there already, Liam. You know, my shepherd and if I got a blanket and curled up anywhere, my shepherd was right there. Boom. It was like snuggle time. Yes, I'm with you, Juju. Always snuggle with the wolfy beast. Exactly. Perfect way to end the day. Yep, it is all snuggled up. It is already quite. I remember Juju. They used to go well into the night, but I think once it gets dark around here now, it's not. And it was very few, very few. But if it's okay with you guys, I'm going to go on to the other story that you wanted. One more that you wanted, and then I'll tell you some other little ones. But I do believe that there was a lot of votes for a killer called the Candy Lover. Okay, and this one's a little gruesome, very brief, but kind of direct. On Halloween night in 2011, 55-year-old Liddell Peoples noticed a bag of his Halloween candy was missing. He got really upset. This man loved his candy. You might say he went into a frenzy. He accused his girlfriend, Maria Adams, of taking it, and the couple began fighting so loud that the neighbors become very, very alarmed. They hear crashing, they hear yelling, they hear screaming. At one point, dishes were being thrown and broke, and Peoples got a cut above his eye. But as the fight escalated and the screaming carried on, while the actual neighbors were actually calling the authorities, before they got there, Peoples grabbed a knife and stabbed Adams multiple times with several steak knives. He then called the police to notify them of the attack himself. And Adams then later died at the hospital, and Peoples was arrested right from there. The entire time he contended that the fight was simply due to his rage over a bag of missing candy. And all the time at the hospital, people were sympathetic, and even the authorities brought him in thinking there was just something wrong with him. But the justice system was less than sympathetic about his claims of candy being that important in honesty, and he was sentenced to 30 years in prison for her death. But they just didn't have as much humor about the candy thing, and they weren't very sympathetic, you know. Exactly. Now, unfortunately, they don't tell us what kind of candy it is. I'm thinking if it's chocolate, rage is absolutely appropriate. Although I would kind of stop at the stabbing with steak knives. But I mean, I can kind of understand that. But that is actually a true crime that's called the candy lover that you guys were interested in. Now, he really must love his candy if he went that far, But, oh boy. Fish nerd, I hope it wasn't Sean. If you took his Reese's, you better give them back. I hope not. Juju said it wasn't her. She's loyal to Trader Joe's peanut butter cups, and I don't blame you. Those little dark chocolate peanut butter cups are absolutely delicious. We're both fans of those, Juju. I think that's how we kind of, in the beginning when we met, we first started talking in chats, it was about those things. No more candy. No more candy for Mr. Peoples. This is true. No more candy for him. I would bet he gets none in jail when he was there. Nope. And he'll be getting out in like 2040. And I wonder what Halloween's going to be like around his neighborhood. Yeah. Can you believe that just happened in 2011, actually? Yeah. Mousy is confessing to stealing the Reese's. Mousy, this is not a good thing. Give them up. We don't want any steak knife activity in the chat, okay? That's my mouse. I'll send you the full bag. Wait a minute. So Sean is all for it, and yet Fish Nerd's going to give her 40 lashes with a wet flounder. Oh my gosh. Yes, and Anna just wants you to share the Reese's. I think if you got enough of them, you should share them with the chat. You were skeptical of my peanut butter cup claims. I stand by both. I know I was at first, but not anymore, because they are better than any other dark chocolate peanut butter cup out there. And once I got like the mini one, like they're just small enough. Like, I have to admit, they are top notch. They're the best. They're the absolute best. Absolutely. Mousy says she's going to take those flounders and she's going to still keep the Reese's. Now there's a woman who knows that chocolate is worth holding on to. Now I'm going to have to find a Trader Joe's. Yep, they make them. Yeah, it is their brand. So unfortunately, it's not like another company we could send you to. Yeah. Okay, I have more stories. You ready? Okay. Also on Halloween, you might know this name. There was the Lisk family massacre. Okay. William B.J. Lisk brutally murdered his father, William, his stepmother, Susan, and 23-year-old stepbrother, Derek Griffin, on Halloween night in 2010. When Derek's 16-year-old brother, who had been staying the night at his father's, discovered the bodies the next morning, he at first thought it was a Halloween prank. One day later, in an unrelated tragedy, BJ's aunt, Sue Demner, died in a garage fire. But that was all. BJ, who had documented history of mental illness, pled guilty to bludgeoning Derek with a claw hammer and then fatally shooting William and Susan so it wouldn't be discovered. Evidence showed that Susan had also been assaulted prior to and or after her death. They never really determined which. William B.J. Lisk ended up killing himself in prison in 2015, more than 4 years after pleading guilty to the crimes he committed on Halloween. He affected the lives of many, and unfortunately, Derek's little brother, whose name is not mentioned, was absolutely probably horrified about Halloween from then on. Can you imagine going home and finding this and thinking it's a Halloween prank, only to find out that they're all gone, because that is horrible. Oh, can you imagine? And then unrelatedly, they also had the tragedy, that the aunt died in a garage fire. They at first thought was related, but it was not, because it was a family relative. They actually investigated it to find out if it was related, if he was trying to actually annihilate the whole family. Well, the fact that he murdered his father and his stepbrother and his stepmother, but he actually assaulted in a his stepmother in a sexual manner, and they're not sure if that was before or after her death. It makes this a very genuine, totally creepy, horribly scary Halloween true story. Like, how does one's mind go there? Yeah, I know. Gross, yeah. It is terrible, I agree. Yeah, I don't know. For it is a horrible story. For your sake, Juju, to get through these horrible stories, I hope the raccoons are packing plenty of treats for you. Plenty of treats. Like, okay, let me for all right. There's also a very famous murder that you may remember from the past, that happened on Halloween Eve, and that was the murder of Martha Moxley. And Martha Moxley was 15 at the time, and her body was discovered on October 31st in 1975. She was a resident of a wealthy community in Greenwich, Connecticut. She had been bludgeoned to death with a golf club. Now, she was last seen before her demise hanging out with her neighbor and the nephew of Ethel Shekel Kennedy, Thomas Skakel, whose husband, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, had been assassinated 7 years earlier. It was Thomas's younger brother, Michael, however, who was actually convicted of the crime in 2000. Yeah, 2000. Yeah, no, I'm not misspeaking, people. Nope, that's not a typo in what I wrote down or a misspeak. The case remained unsolved for 25 years. But the wheels of justice did not only turn slowly, they kind of swerved off the road because Michael him served 10 years in prison and then was granted a new trial based on a judge's finding that his original defense attorney had not adequately represented himself. He was freed on 1.2 million bail in 2013, and after years of lawyering, his conviction was vacated and a new trial was ordered on October 30th, 2020. 45 years to the day since Martha was last seen alive. The state announced it would not retry him. In a bizarre coincidence, a best selling true crime book about Martha Moxley's murder, published in 1999, was written by Mark Furman, the infamous cop whose racism revealed through the evidence presented at the O.J. Simpson trial. Um, and he did as much damage to the prosecution as those ill fitting gloves. Hmm. But anyway, isn't that like kind of they the conviction actually got vacated and asked to be reordered actually the day before Halloween. Her murder was found the day of Halloween. But yep, Michael Skakel is believed to have been the murderer. And that's a true one. That was in the papers a lot. You may know that. Hmm. Oh, I hope everything's okay, Commander. Oh, I didn't realize I left that up there while I was talking about this murder. Oh, I'm glad you got your emergency candy there, fish nerd. Yep, that's what we're talking about, Commander. Halloween murder stories and crimes. Oh, there you go. I'm so glad you got them calmed down. Chocolate works wonders, doesn't it? Yeah. I do hope it's okay. Everything's going to be okay, Commander. Yes, at least you didn't have to go to the emergency room or anything. Oh, I do hope that. Oh, that is. I do understand that struggle well, Commander. So, number one, I'll give you good grace for actually taking care of a loved one that way. especially when it gets difficult like this. And I know you know they do not know what they do. Yeah. The Lisa French story. Did that happen on Halloween? This didn't come up in my notes. Tell me about it in the chat if you like. You know. Okay, so all right. Now, usually on the eve before Halloween is prankster night, right? Mischief night, they used to call it. Or actually, we still do, you know. Um, in my youth, we did go out on mischief night, my brothers and I. And well, if there was a cranky neighbor or someone that needed a comeuppance, so there'd be toilet paper and trees and eggs and things like that. Well, this next story of murder is called the Egging Murders, actually. And it was involved a 21-year-old Carl Jackson who was fatally shot on Halloween in 1998 by Curtis Sterling, who was only 17, one of a group of boys he confronted after they egged his girlfriend's car. According to an informal tally by the New York Times, at least 24 people have been stabbed or seriously wounded or killed in stabbings, shootings, beatings, or accidents sparked by egg throwing confrontations around Halloween. Apparently, egging can be a very dangerous mischief prank. Well, in its 2010 story, the Times reported that 2 days before Halloween in 1994, a man leaving a bar in Brooklyn was hit with eggs tossed by several boys. And the man stabbed and killed one of those boys, a 12-year-old. So we have the one in 1998. Now we have this one in 1994. Okay. In 1996, a 10-year-old Brooklyn boy was shot in the neck by a stray bullet after an egg fight on Halloween. In October 29th, 2005, Joseph Padro, 31, the brother of a police detective, was shot and killed in Bronx after he chased a group of teenagers who pelted his minivan with eggs. So, egging, egging leads to terrible things, people. Now, I am guilty of egging in my past. Yes, I am. I can remember one person's car that we tagged every year for the several years that we lived in that neighborhood, my brothers and I. And yes, it's not the right thing. But, you know, I don't think I would have turned around and shot them if they came at me. I mean, more than awful, I would have got grounded or in trouble or had to wash the car or do anything like that. I do recall having to actually clean up a neighbor's yard that got TP'd because, and you know, the bad thing about that was, although we were out TPing that night and we are guilty of doing mischief night pranks, we did not do that house. That neighbor who complained to everyone that it was us who did it. And we had to go and clean that whole thing up. And we were not the ones. Mm-mm. We were not the ones, but, we had to do it anyway, you know. Yeah, make them wash the car, exact. But don't shoot people, okay? And to shoot children, I mean, I do get that it's they feel violated and they're angry, but these are like crimes of passion. To be able to shoot a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old boy, I mean, that has got to be, mm. Or even the 17-year-old. I mean, they are pranking kids, still. Egging murders is the thing, and the numbers just keep racking up. I'm sure next year there'll be more to add to the list. Okay. We did the candy lover. This one was sad. This is the shooting of Marvin Brandlin. Now, on Halloween in 1982, Marvin Brandlin and his wife, they were handing out candy in their Fort Dodge, Iowa home. A simple town, quite laid back. No, mm, they didn't expect anything, It was just kids in costumes. They're enjoying the evening, taking turns getting up to give the candy. while they watched their favorite show on TV, you know. But somebody came to the door in a mask and said to them, "Trick or treat, give me your money or I'll shoot." Well, thinking it was just an elaborate prank, you know, Marvin jokingly said to his wife, "Come here, missus. You're not going to believe this. Let's look at this guy. This is great." And they actually thought it was kind of funny and they were laughing. They offered him some candy and then they tried to unmask him, thinking it was a joke to find out if it was the neighborhood boy, a teenager who lived a couple of houses down. But it wasn't. And that man pushed them inside the house and pulled out a gun, demanding the money they kept somewhere in the house, which they did in a basement safe that he did know about. Marvin tried to grab the gun, but the man shot him in the throat and then ran. Somehow the mask was left behind. Since no one knew about the safe, it was assumed that someone in the family was behind the robbery. But even with DNA in the mask and a family member bragging that he did it, no one was ever arrested for this murder. That one kind of sticks at me. Can you imagine? Just on Halloween, people come to your house, you're thinking it's a joke. Wow. And then it's not. And they did. And for have a family member bragging that they did the crime and knowing about the basement safe where the money was, like how is that? Like no one was ever arrested. One of the reasons that they think that no one was really arrested, when I researched a little bit through the Reddits, basically, I couldn't find a police file. But basically, it was because the wife survived and she said about the safe. But they really thought that she was hysterical and that she was just blaming someone in the family because she was just so upset about this happening. Yeah. What do you guys think? Do you think it could have been a family member? Or do you think it's more that she was just so excited and so upset, like, not excited like in a good way, but just of that temperament that she would exaggerate like this and just try to blame someone in her family about it? Because if there was any evidence of it and she did give a good valid statement that could be collaborated, why wouldn't they have arrested anybody or even took it further? I mean, the man died, you know, in a family intrusion, you know? Yeah, I'm thinking it was somebody that might know, right? Yeah. Hmm. I'm thinking so too, Mousy. Oh, wow. Sean, this is cruel. Liam, my Don showed me a meme with a big bowl of scrambled eggs with a note for the kids to take one handful. That is so cruel. Your hat, you know what? You totally would get eggs next year, I think, you know. Yeah, good idea to resisting the off-color joke there, Fishnet. Well, this is a real crude true crime buff here. Anna, she knows the facts here because most people have met or know their murderers. Random murders are rarer than the statistics say that in most cases of murder, you know who it was. They met them, they know them, they were in close proximity, you know. Yeah, it's true. There's a true statistic there. All right. I think I have another one for you. Are you Juju? Are you okay? I want to make sure before I keep going. I know some of these stories. Maybe you've heard them before. I don't know, but they're fascinating to me. I do like to read these creepy things. Okay. If everybody's still okay, I'm gonna go along with a couple more. Okay. I still like the meme of the Bermuda onions dressed up like caramel. Yes, that is a good one. Like who would want? Yeah, yeah. Oh, I do. Yes, I do, Juju. Yeah, I wish you did too. Okay, as long as you're good. All right, here's another. You ready? Okay. Let's see if I can make this one even creepier. Okay, this one is called, they tagged this one the trick or treat murder. I tried to pick all names that had to do with the holiday when I was researching. And this one is called the trick or treat murder. And it was from 1957. Okay. A gentleman, Peter Fabiano, woke up in his Los Angeles home late at night by some trick or treaters. Okay. When he complained about the late hour, he got shot in the chest. By the time his wife, Betty, made it to the porch, the shooters had all run off. Police tracked the suspect to North Hollywood after the murder weapon was found in a storage locker. They traced it back to Goldine Pizer, who admitted to shooting Fabiano on the urging of another woman, Joan Robel. Robel was enamored with Fabiano's wife and convinced Pizer he was cruel and abusive. Rumors that Betty and Rebel had an affair were never confirmed. Rebel and Pfizer were sentenced to 5 years in prison. This is a good example of, well, you don't have to pull the trigger if you had anything to do with the crime. But can you believe that? Yeah? Hmm. Joan Rebel commissioned and prodded Golden Pizer to commit murder against Peter Fabiano because she liked Betty, his wife. This is so bizarre. So bizarre. Freddy Krueger. Liam, this is like, this is so true. Oh gosh, Liam. All my victims have met me, but none really knew me. Couldn't every serial killer say that? Couldn't they? Couldn't they actually say that? Yeah. Well, yes. So the moral of the story of the trick or treat murder is don't answer the door after a certain time to trick or treaters because it's Halloween. I mean, you would kind of know in the middle of the night, right? If they're there on the door. That's kind of rude. I don't think I'd open the door. I might yell through the door. Mm. Well, mm. I do like how formal you were with that being Frederick Krueger instead of Freddy. He's so proper. I think Liam should always do commentary, even when it's not Halloween spooky story day. Uh, Liam adds plenty to that conversation all the time. Hello, Cat Ninja. Welcome. Welcome. All right. All right. I got time for one more, people. What do you think? In for a penny, in for a pound? Hmm? Let's see if this one has a good name. Tricks Inside Treats. Okay, this is kind of similar to what we were talking about earlier, Juju, about how people were playing up on the candies. We all know that some people take part of trick or treat in a little more seriously than there is. They do like the trick part and leave the treat for others. Usually, these pranksters are teenagers or kids, and they don't really do much harm. Okay, but there was one Halloween night way back in 1959 where dentist, and of course, it's a dentist. Think what you will there, people, but the dentist, William V. Shine, decided to give out tricks with his treats. Well, the trick, it was not very pleasant. Shine bought candy-coated laxatives and gave them out to roughly 450 very unlucky trick-or-treaters. And although the laxatives weren't deadly, 30 of the children did actually eat the candy and got violently sick, because it was adult laxatives and they're small children. Authorities were able to narrow the case down on the illnesses and track the laxatives back to Shine. And he was charged with multiple crimes, including outrage of public decency and the unlawful dispensing of drugs. Touche, dentist Shine. He never gave a reason for handing out the laxatives. But I think that all of us could extrapolate on that. Why do you think a dentist would want to poison a bunch of children? I don't know. But you think he would be promoting Halloween since they eat too much candy and he'd have much more work to do. It would be good for his pocket if people came in with cavities, right? Or he was just a cranky man who didn't like people knocking on his door. I'm not sure, but they never really did find out the motive. But I love the sound of being convicted of outrage of public decency. I'm sure there's quite a few people you all would like to tag with that one, you know. But the unlawful dispensing of drugs for a laxative, well, it would be off market because it was for small children. He's definitely dispensed it to people that did not require it. Well, unlawful dispensing of drugs in outrage of public decency. Yeah. You know, just a cranky person about Halloween. But I have issues about dentists around Halloween anyway. Like, I don't like the people that give you toothbrushes or even, oh my gosh, do you know that one time my daughter came home and they actually had the whole kit, like the toothpaste, the toothbrush, and even like the floss, even the little thing of floss. I swear they must have got it from a dentist office, so they knew it. Like it was the little, you go for your annual checkup and stuff, and you get that little kit sometimes. At least our dentist did. I don't know, but all right. All right. I'm going to leave you on a particularly harsh one, just because, well, it is Halloween. Okay, it is Halloween, so we're going to talk about the chainsaw prankster. Now, me particular, I don't find chainsaws very funny after seeing Saw and the Chainsaw Massacre and reading a whole bunch of other stuff. To me, nothing pranky about that. But however, someone did go there. We're gonna read about it. Some people always take their Halloween spirit a little bit too far. Okay, you know those houses, right? The ones where you never know if the guy in the rocking chair is real or a decoration. You hear the loud noise, something falls out of the tree, somebody jumps out of the bushes. I've got those kind of houses in my neighborhood. I'm sure some of you do too. Well, they take it really, really serious, like the life-size coffins, hands reaching out, terrorizing the small children, adults, and anyone they can, and getting giddy about it. Well, Frank Alba took this to a whole new level when he decided to dress in a bloody apron with a real chainsaw and hide in the bushes on Halloween in 2011. He knew he was in the direct path of kids coming home from trick or treating. And sure enough, a group of them soon walked by. Albert jumped out of the bushes and revved the chainsaw, sending the children screaming. Unfortunately, what happened is one of the children, a 12-year-old little girl named Leslie Garcia, was so terrified that she ran straight into the road and was hit by a car. And Frank Alba was sued by the family because the girl sustained permanent injuries and trauma. But here's the Halloween twist on this one. For me, this is horrible. This is the scariest thing that can happen. We can find no records on the results of that lawsuit. None. Not a peep. We just know the family sued him. We have no idea what happened afterwards. We don't know if he willingly settled and gave them money. We don't know if he got jailed for, causing her accident. We have no idea. All we know is that he thought it was funny to scare children with an actual chainsaw, and it went awry. And the family sued him, and we have no answers as to what happened afterwards. To me, that's the most horrible way to end anything. But that's how I'm going to end it because this is scary Halloween night, and that's it. I just ate a Tootsie Roll. I'm jealous. I'm going to eat a peanut butter cup if I can. All right. Well, thank you for indulging me, everyone. I do hope that you enjoyed the stories. Oh, I never saw a chainsaw that I didn't like wrapping around a pretty girl's neck. Always hooks them nice. Ah, Leatherface. Yes. You know? Yep. Mm. Leatherface is a character designed after like the story of Ed Gein, which is a true story of a serial. They do list him as a serial killer, but he only killed a few people. Okay, but he's the one that took all the dead bodies and took the skin off them and everything like that. And he had earlobes and like lips and faces for lampshades, and he was making a mom suit. And yeah, there's several characters in movies that are hinting to Ed Gein, and Leatherface is one of them from Saw. Yeah. Mm. Oh, he made lovely furniture. Yeah, with all the skin chairs and stuff, and yeah, so made himself a mom suit. But most of his victims was the desecration of already dead bodies that he dug up to get the skin. But he had a belt, made out of ears. In Oh my god, he was fascinated with lady parts. Also, they were everywhere. Um, yeah. Norman Bates was based on Gain too, because Ed Gein actually killed his mother. Thank you, Juju, for knowing that. You are all, oh gosh, you guys really are crime fans here. Yep. And also, can you name another movie where someone tried to make a skin suit that it was actually directly related to Ed Gein? I know. We got Psycho, we got Saw. There's one more really famous one. Yep. You got that wrong. Yeah, you did. You got it on trivia and you never again, huh, Juju? That's it, Juju. Buffalo Bill, Liam and Juju. You got it. Silence of the Lambs. Yep. Buffalo Bill is dancing and all of that. Yep, Anna, you're right. Yep. You guys are right. And no, Fish Nerd, it wasn't face off, but that's an amusing way to look at it. Yes. Well, there's plenty of that face off is more like a play on the Count of Monte Cristo, like actually the brother replacing the other brother kind of thing. Yeah. Oh, no, that's okay, Mrs. Cassandra. In real life first always. I'm just glad you're here to say goodnight. I am actually almost on the way out. What kind of lotion did Ed Gain prefer? I bet it was Nivea. Jesus. Juju, really? How do you know it wasn't? I actually think Ed Gain probably bought discount bargain no name lotion. Yeah. Or he liked lard. I'm thinking it was straight lard. That's the lotion that Juju that I believe Ed Gain would use. Yeah. Because he had to oh, Nivea is great lotion. Too good for Ed Gain. Actually, too good. Thank you so much for letting me tell stories tonight, guys. Let me just read a couple of like really creepy things. And I hope you enjoyed it. And I'm going to sign off now. And I'll see you probably during the week. I'm not so sure I'm going to do the stream tomorrow. Only based on some things that are going on here at home. It may not actually get to schedule it. But if you see it pop up, then it'll be happening. But otherwise, I'll keep you going on the weekend. We are definitely, barring no complications, going to be doing What the Fuck on Saturday. And again, for our nothing stream on Sunday to start the week, right? You know, I'm glad I kept you awake. I'm glad I kept you awake, Show, but I do hope you get to rest and you do get some sleep. I do love Nivea. There's nothing wrong with Nivea. It's great. It is great lotion. I just don't, I think it's too good for Ed Gain. I really do. Thank you, everyone who was here. And you all enjoy the rest of this wonderful Halloween, okay? And however you're doing it. Treat yourselves right. Not only on Halloween, have the treats. Life is short. Just don't overindulge. But treat yourselves well. And on that, I will see you all again soon.